pressures have emerged internally as the tech stack has scaled?
You said it right there about the tech has scaled. We need to learn the new language of technology. Take those very manual jobs, manual tasks that people hate to do and automate.
I love that phrase, automate what you hate. But how do you prioritize which one you're going to automate first? Welcome back to Raw AI Solutions, the podcast where we explore how business leaders are navigating the fast-moving world of AI and digital transformation. I'm your host, Denise Powell, and today we are joined by Mohamed Hafez, CEO and founder of ByteWise. It's a bold tech company building digital platforms and modernizing food delivery infrastructure across the Middle East. Mohamed, we are delighted to have you with us. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Denise. It's a pleasure to be on. Just one thing, first of all, you can call me Mo. Secondly, as far as what we do at ByteWise is we help companies advance their AI transformations. We're an AI transformation delivery.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for that clarity. It's brilliant. Actually, that brings me to my first question. Would you like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your company?
I've been in the tech industry for about 17 years. I was a technologist long before that. I was a technologist when I was about 5 years old, when I got my first computer, and I learned how to program it at 5 years old. But ever since then, I've been fascinated by the power of technology, and the power of technology to really create conveniences that, continue to make modern life so much better and easier and more connected. And at 5 years old, I realized that. And then early on in my career, I got into the IT field completely because I loved it. I actually studied economics in college. But after that, I did a little bit of banking and finance, but I realized that technology was going to be the future. And so about 17 years ago, I got into the tech field and have been doing it ever since. My most recent stint was delivering digital transformation solutions for Fortune 500 companies, global Fortune 500 companies. And it really taught me something very, very important, which is that a lot of organizations have a problem with technology today, which is they know that it's powerful. They know that it can deliver real innovation. But oftentimes they don't have a strategy for how to deliver the results that tech is supposed to bring. And I was involved in many projects where companies would spend millions of dollars on tech transformations that weren't well thought out. And oftentimes it caused delays, it caused wasted resources, it caused frustrations, it costed trust in the technology itself. And now we have AI. And AI is incredibly powerful. Denise, I can't tell you how powerful AI is. And this is, a lot of people talk about the power of AI and it just sounds like, hype, right? And there is a lot of hype talk out there, but the tech is actually incredibly powerful if it's utilized correctly, if it's delivered correctly, if there's a strategy behind it, and if there's purpose behind the tech. In other words, you don't just upgrade the tech and introduce it to an organization just for the sake of having it. No, it's to deliver real ROI, to deliver real value for your business, based on what you sell, what your product is. But without a real strategy, first of all, you can end up wasting a lot of money. And unfortunately, you are going to lose trust in the tech because it won't deliver the results you need. And this is how I got into what I'm doing today with ByteWise and with my podcast as well, called Beyond the Byte, where it's about helping companies really understand the landscape, to provide wisdom to all of the hype, the information that's out there, and help companies and individuals and institutions adopt technology responsibly.
That is such a critical word that you said there, responsibly. I agree. AI is so incredibly powerful, but it's also about being responsible with it because it is still quite new. And I think it's the latest buzzword, before it was the cloud, then it was digital, and now it's AI. And so it's crazy to navigate it. So I'm saying ByteWise, it's a very interesting name. How did you come up with that?
Well, you have bytes. Bytes are the basic fundamental block of information, a megabyte, a gigabyte. So byte, wise, wisdom. So bringing wisdom to the technology.
Oh, love it. That's a very creative name. box. Very, very good.
And by the way, Denise, I wanted to mention that AI is about 70 years old, actually. AI has been around since the 1950s. So the only reason that it's kind of become mainstream now is that a lot of technologies have finally come together and converged. And this is not just the tip of the iceberg, but AI has been a long time in the making. Big data, big compute, the internet itself, all of these were fundamental to making AI what it is today. Neural networks, and neural networks couldn't be possible without the vast network of the World Wide Web that we've been building over the past 20 years. So AI really is just, it's the moment, right? Right now is really the moment where this technology now, given all of the tech that has advanced as a result, has now become very, very powerful and is game-changing now.
That's very, very true. Thanks for the clarification. It's brilliant. Well, in today's episode, we're going to be unpacking how digital complexity and operational sprawl are quietly fragmenting company culture and what strong leaders are doing about it to stay aligned while still scaling. So you've led ByteWise through some rapid digital build-outs. What pressures have emerged internally as the tech stack has scaled, and how do you keep your culture coherent?
You said it right there about the tech has scaled. So now that the tech has scaled, it's very powerful. Now the people need to scale with it. In other words, we need to learn the new language of technology. And I'll give you a really good example of what I mean by that. About just a couple of years ago, not even that long, not that long in the distant past, programmers were, they had it made, right? If you were a programmer, everybody was like, yeah, oh, you're a developer? Okay, how much are you making? 200,000, you're doing well. And now we're looking at programmers as being the first on the chopping block when it comes to automated tasks. Now, that's not to say that we don't need programmers anymore, but they themselves must adapt because AI has now gotten very good at generating code so that now programmers actually, if they're not using AI to help them program their solutions, they're really, they're not very wise. So in this case, we see that there is a job transformation happening. So as this technology has scaled, organizations and their individuals must also kind of meet that rise. And the way they meet that rise is with literacy. This fundamental tech literacy or AI literacy is fundamental to any organization because you've got big decision makers, right? CEOs, CTOs, CIOs, and they're in the boardroom and they're realizing we need to make sure that we solve X problem with Y solution. Great. If your people are not on the same understanding, then you're going to take that strategy, it's going to come out of the boardroom, and then it's not going to translate well in the actual. And this happens a lot with AI, especially because AI has a little bit of a counter reputation of being, oh, it's going to take your job. There's a fear of AI. There's a fear for some people. And people always fear what they don't understand. So you're going to get lack of adoption, and so your strategy is going to fail right as soon as you leave the boardroom. So as long as you establish a fundamental understanding in AI literacy, a foundational tech literacy, then at that point your strategy can carry forward, right? You're only going to be as good as your lowest common denominator. So in any organization, there needs to be alignment on the tech strategy, and that I believe starts with literacy. Starts with a foundational understanding. Everybody needs to have a common understanding of what these tools are and how their company can participate.
And how would a company begin on that journey? Where would they start?
In order to have a strategy, you have to first know what your objective is. So it starts with a discovery. It starts with a company really looking into and whether you outsource that discovery process to an organization that comes an AI enablement organization like ByteWise, or you do it yourself, you need to essentially do a discovery where you find out across the board. And this is not an IT problem anymore. This is not like, oh, it's just the IT department. This is how is HR, finance, operations, it doesn't matter what part of your business. You need to make sure that at all levels, all of your people have a foundational training. But beyond that, beyond just foundational training, you need to have a strategy. What does your company do? What product do you deliver? And therefore, when you have that strategy, you realize that's your goal. Your goal is to deliver that product. Everything else along the way, how you deliver that product, the details, that is where the technology strategy can come into play. So you need to sort of think high level first, begin with the end in mind, as I would say, start with the objective you're trying to solve, and then after that, see where it makes sense to fit the tech in between, and make sure your people are trained. So have a blueprint, right? I tell customers, number one, do a discovery. That discovery will bring up gaps, will bring up gaps in needs analysis. In that gaps in needs analysis, you can begin to craft a strategy. That's let alone then we're talking about an AI governance board, policy, a framework for how you use a technology like AI. Those are all going to be tertiary to it. But step one really is to look at the problem and analyze what you're trying to do, and your strategy to do that with tech is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And the whole thing, you're so right. It's AI is so much more than just the IT department. It is your entire organization, and actually should be business led. And what I tend to find with the clients is they kind of don't know the art of the possible, and it's about educating them on what the art of the possible is, what AI is actually out there, and how can really truly come and support you. And the other thing is adoption. There's a lot of fear of adoption, fear of AI, fear of this is going to take over my job, and it's about the communication of the strategy and how it's not here to take over, it's here to support.
I love that you use the art of the possible. I actually just on my podcast actually used that very same phrase the other day. It's a great way to put it. They don't know what the art of the possible is, so you can talk to them about the technicals. It'll go right over their head, right? They need to have an understanding of what is possible for a business case, not the tech.
Absolutely, completely. And I think the key is also communication. Just you need to communicate that strategy down so people can understand how it all fits in together. Where have you seen tech friction show up, whether it's employee experience or decision-making or client delivery, and how have you approached reducing it?
That's a great question. Tech friction really comes when you introduce a tool without really getting any stakeholder buy-in. And I'll give you an example. I have a colleague of mine who works for a major company. And he told me this, and I'm not going to mention his name or the company, but he told me that their company, it's a major company, adopted Gemini, and they introduced it, but they didn't. They said that all of a sudden they rolled it out. They said there was an email. I was like, hey, everyone, you have Gemini now, and he told me that everybody in the organization, the common talk was like, well, what how are we supposed to use this thing? And and some people were like, I don't want to use it. It's just gonna, this is their way of finding out where they can automate certain jobs away and blah blah blah. It was very funny because it reminded me of that movie Office Space, right? Where AI is like the two Bobs, like in that they come into the office. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie Office Space. It's hilarious, but the two Bobs, Bob and Bob, are these two consultants, and they just show up. And everybody in the company starts thinking, "Oh my God, these people are coming here to see who's expendable. They're gonna see who they're gonna fire and who they're gonna keep." And so everybody just is on alert, right? And they're looking around, and nobody wants to talk to the Bobs because they know the Bobs are really trying to find out who is expendable. I think AI are the new Bobs, and so if you just throw in a Chat GPT model like Gemini into the mixture and say, hey, everybody, it's available. Go ahead and start using it. There's going to be tech friction, Denise. There's going to be a lot of tech friction. And that's just an analogy. But anytime that you introduce a tech and you expect all of your people to use it without their buy-in, without them being a part of that conversation, without that being a part of that learning, you're going to have a lot of tech friction as a result. Whereas if you think of everybody in the company as one big team, and this one big team is trying to achieve this objective, and hey, everyone, we're looking at using this tool. And hey, we're working with this company, and there's a workshop or there's a training, and we're all going to take the training together. And the use cases are going to be spelled out and outlined right there in the training. From CEO down to the intern, everybody now is on board with how they're going to use this tool to bring about change in the organization. You'll also inspire confidence for the departments themselves to begin experimenting and using the tool, because now you've enabled them. You've set the standard. You've said, hey, now we're all here. We've all done this. We all know what the art of the possible is, as you put it. Now you've inspired an air of innovation in the company, not a fear of the tech, rather a responsible embrace of the technology. And you've laid the ground. So this is one of the reasons why I think that tech friction often comes from a lack of strategy.
If speed and clarity, as well as reduced stress, if that became a goal tomorrow, where's the first system where you think you'll change your workflow or rethink or simplify?
There's a term in the industry, or at least it's a term that is making its rounds that I like to use, and it's called automate what you hate. And we humans, Denise, were not designed to be multitaskers. We are really operate best when we are in flow, when we are focusing on one task at a time. And the problem is, a lot of the times now we have systems that require lots of human input and lots of decision making, sending out emails or handling multiple social media posts. If you're a marketing department, you're having to do copies here, 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 and here. And a lot of that work, it can be very much a rigorous, very task, but you're jumping from this platform to this platform to LinkedIn content to blah, blah, blah. I have to enter email. I have to do that. So you have a lot of these different tasks, and humans are not really good at managing these multiple tasks. So we automate what we hate. What we do is we start with the systems that can be easily automated, the low hanging fruit, the one that allows one person to be able to do the work of many, but do so in a way that gives them the ability to focus, that gives them the ability to think, that gives them the ability to think creatively, and to innovate, not to have these mundane, boring tasks. And this is one of the reasons why AI is coming for white collar jobs, for knowledge workers, because frankly, over the past, I want to say, 30 years, knowledge work has become really, really repetitive. Working in big Excel spreadsheets and just doing very, very manual work. And it is frankly overwhelming. It's computationally intensive and expensive, and I mean by computationally expensive. And it's just a task overload situation. So this is why the fundamental concept of automate what you hate is where I think that you should go first. Go to where you find people doing very repetitive work and automate that. That's going to be different for different companies, right? So every company is different. I can't just name one thing, but you're in any given organization or company in the process, you're going to find some things that you're like, we do this. It's the same every time, but we just have to do it manually. That's the first step right there, is take those very manual jobs, manual tasks that people hate to do, and automate them. This is where AI is.
But then how do you prioritize that as an organization? I love that phrase, automate what you hate. But how do you prioritize which one you're going to automate first?
Well, that's what strategy is. So what do you automate first? Well, it's the thing that's going to be, we always say, let AI meet you where you're at, right? Or let the tech meet you where you're at. You're going to want something that's low-hanging fruit is what I call it. So something that is easy to fix, easy to identify, and easy to test. So you immediately automate something that you're like, if we automated that, not only is it we're going to be seeing results right off the bat, so it's going to be easily measurable. The ROI is measurable. It's low-hanging fruit, and in that it's not hard. It doesn't require us to upgrade our entire systems. It doesn't require us to restructure the entire. It's just, we can begin by automating this one task. Let's see the ROI from it. It's measurable, and it's it's a small thing. It's a small POC, a proof of concept, as we call it. So let the technology meet you where you're at. Pick something that's measurable, that doesn't make a huge, big structural change, and automate that and measure, and then go from there. When that works, go on to the next level. But that's part of strategy. So part of strategy is, okay, where do I begin? What am I trying to get to? But where's the easiest way for me to begin, step by step?
Yeah. I love that. It's so true. Great advice there. So how open are your teams, or even your clients' teams, to AI and automation?
My team is all about curiosity. It's about learning. It's about not fearing the tech, but embracing it. learning how to use it responsibly. So my team, part of the core fundamental aspect of ByteWise and everybody who works for ByteWise is that we are ethical, curious learners. We want to learn more. We're open to using the tech, but we also, begin with the end in mind. We think about how we want to use this tech responsibly. Now, as far as other people or other organizations, there are, I find that there are different camps here. And I think I've classified them into 3 different camps. This is something I recently posted about on LinkedIn. But the 3 different camps are those who fear AI, those who kind of put their head in the sand and they say, we don't know what's happening with this tech. We're a little scared about it. And so we're just going to see what happens, but we're going to kind of, turn our heads and not pay attention. Unfortunately, and I understand those people. I understand why, because it can be overwhelming. But that is not the right strategy. Those people are going to be left behind. Those organizations are going to be left behind. Then there are going to be those who adopt technology. They're going to be the ones that say, okay, this technology is too powerful. We do need to adopt it. So they will adopt it in some form or fashion. And those organizations are probably going to stick around. Then there's a third camp. This is my favorite camp. These are the ones that don't just adopt the tech, they innovate with it. They are bold enough to empower their people to not just adopt the tech, but think of ways to disrupt their industries, to disrupt their organizations with the technology. They lead with the technology, but they do so responsibly. They have a strategy and they encourage innovation. And they are not just adopting the tech because they feel like, oh, yeah, the tech is around. Oh, everybody's doing that. We need to do that too. But they really see it for what it is, a way for them to gain competitive advantage, a way for them to break industry trends and find a new way to innovate. As Clay Christensen, who would say, this is disruptive technology comes from some of these very smart but small innovations. And those are the organizations who are going to be leading with AI. And they're the ones that are going to thrive. They're going to set the new standards. They're the ones that are going to find new markets. They're the ones that are going to find new ways of doing things that we just haven't seen before. And they will lead with the tech.
Absolutely. I love that. And it's so true. Well, I find some of my clients, they go, oh, we don't need to embrace AI now because our competitors aren't. But soon they will be. And if you don't start embracing it, you are going to be left behind. And I think there's an article I read that it takes like a year to implement it, a year for it to embed, and in year 3, that's when they thrive and they fly. And so while you think your competitors might not be using it right now, you don't know what's happening in the background. And before you know it, in 2 years' time, they're going to be flying and you're only going to be beginning your journey. So I'd highly recommend looking into AI as a solution to stay ahead of everyone else.
Yeah, and not just AI. I mean, as I mentioned, AI is a big, broad field. Artificial intelligence is a field that includes machine learning and generative AI and agentic AI, and so there's a lot of different things under this big AI umbrella. And then but beyond AI, it's also emerging tech, right? So emerging tech in general. AI is just right now we're hearing about it because it is advancing so rapidly. But I think AI itself is an enabler in that it's being lauded as being like electricity. It's like when electricity first came out, it wasn't about electricity, what you do with it. And that's what's going to bring about change. So think of AI as just an enabler. Emerging tech is when you combine AI with other aspects, right? Other parts of our technosphere. And that is where real innovation happens. What I like to call the consinity of technologies, where you're taking 2 different techs and putting them together in a way that nobody else has thought of before, but to solve a real business need, or solve a real societal need. That is where you're going to be doing some very powerful things.
Absolutely. Very true. Looking ahead as you scale, where do you feel the biggest risk of cultural misalignment or tool fatigue might come from? And how are you planning for it?
I mean, I stand on this education literacy thing, right? The organizations right now need to all be in a learning mode. This time is a time of great change, Denise. I mean, really, we're talking about a fundamental shift in how business is done over the next 4 to 5 years. And I'm going to quote some figures from the World Economic Forum's jobs report, which came out just a few months ago. 86% of business processes or 86% of businesses are going to be transformed by AI over the next 5 years. 39% of current skills are going to be outdated over the next couple of years. And 59% of the global workforce will need to be reskilled. These numbers are, these are percentage numbers, and we're talking global. So when you think about that, you realize that this is a time of great change. And so we really need to be focused on adapting. And in order to adapt, we need to be curious. We need to learn. And so organizations right now really need to be investing in corporate upskilling programs, corporate upskilling, in educating their employees, in inviting innovation to begin within. They should, and I think there's a recently, I think there have been a couple of memorandums that have come out from different companies saying no more hiring of humans, right? Prove to me that if you can't prove to me that an AI can't do it, then don't hire the human to do it. So this is both good and bad. It's good because it means that companies are aware that this is going to be the new what I call human machine collaboration playbook. Right now, it's like, okay, instead of hiring a human to do these jobs, we know AI is very capable. Think about the ways that that you can work with the tech to make whatever objective you're trying to do happen. And so this is basically saying, learn to use the tech, learn to work with. So that's good. So now you see learning. We're all learning. But it's worse. It's bad because it means that we're not hiring any more people, any more humans. But that means that the onus is on organizations to make sure that their people, their loyal employees that they're going to keep are trained so that they become, each employee should be able to do 10 times the work they were able to do before with proper training. You can get so much more productivity. And you know what? It's not just about productivity. You're going to make their jobs a little bit easier, right? You're going to foster some digital habits that are going to be good for your employees so that they can come up with better strategies, better ideas, better innovations for the company, because they've automated away things that used to take so much of their time and brought fatigue and burnout. This is where corporate upskilling, training, in inviting all of that into an organization is, I think, really step one, being able to remain adaptable in this time of change.
Those are some scary statistics there, I must say. Yeah. Looking at the next stage of growth for ByteWise, where do you think you'd like to take your company over the next 6 to 12 months?
We do a lot of workshops here in the Washington, D.C. area, as well as, I do speaking engagements at conferences. And so we're doing a lot of work here, right here, locally and nationally. But over the next year, I'm really looking forward to taking this work global. I'm somebody who has worked with global companies already, for 7 years, solutioning game-changing technology solutions for these big companies. And now with ByteWise, I'm looking to do the same, but with AI education, with AI literacy, with the art of the possible. I want to bring that globally. I think that there's a lot of opportunities in places like the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia, some of our key partners overseas. The U.S. has invested heavily in AI, and our partners in the Middle East are helping us with data centers. We're going to be working with them. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity for this work to then go global. And that's where ByteWise headed. And as far as AI education and AI literacy is concerned, it's for everybody. I say AI literacy is for all. It's now foundational, just like we talk about financial literacy. And I'm not the one saying this, right? You see it. President Trump just put out his K through 12 literacy mandate, AI literacy. So there's this movement now where world leaders. I think China did the same thing. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates did the same thing. There is an understanding that AI literacy is the new competitive edge, new advantage, and I'm not even talking about just companies or organizations, whole countries, their governments is pushing this advancement of AI literacy. And I think that this is one of the reasons why it's a global. And I think that ByteWise is positioned to help with this. We have programs that are global in nature, and I want to scale this AI literacy from being just something that we do here in the United States and in Washington, D.C., but to a global movement. As a matter of fact, just later today, I have a meeting with the Association of AI Ethicists, which is a pan-European organization. We're going to be talking about the AI ethics certifications that we're working on to basically certify AI ethicists. You see already my vision for this is beyond national. It is global, and that's what
it's brilliant. It's never a better time to actually do this right now, this window that we have. And I reckon it'll be open for the next 2 to 3 years before it starts shutting down. What are the biggest challenges that you're facing in your company right now?
What keeps me up at night is that we are trying to advance not just AI literacy, but the adoption of responsible AI and ethical AI. And the challenges in my company right now that we're facing is how do we really help organizations and the leadership structures of organizations understand the importance of adopting a proper, responsible AI strategy. So for us, our clients, the work we do with them speaks for itself. But we have so many people out there, so many organizations that we need to reach. And our challenge is how do we reach that audience? How do we get our training, workshop, our framework? We have this wonderful framework that I've actually made available for free. It's, if you go to my podcast, and if you go to our website, bytewise-llc.com, we have the framework called the CLEAR framework, and it is a framework for responsible AI adoption at organizations. I've made this framework free to use because for me, and this framework is a framework that we've put together, and there are over 200 frameworks out there. So, I understand that that is a crowded marketplace of frameworks, but we tell organizations you need to adopt one. You need to adopt one. And we're not going to try to charge you to use our framework. We think that our framework is powerful, it stands on its own, and it will help your organization adopt AI responsibly if you follow the tenets of that framework. And the CLEAR framework, it's simple. It's CLEAR, CLEAR, right? And it stands for community, learning, equality, accountability, and responsibility. Each one of those tenets is one of the tenets that allows you to adopt AI responsibility within your organization. And we have in the framework, when you download it, you will see that we have outlined, how do you apply those tenets to your organization for responsible AI adoption. We've made this framework free because we think it's important for companies to adopt the framework. Whether you work with ByteWise or not, we think that you should, take a look at it. If it sparks your curiosity, if it helps you build a framework of your own, if you end up using it and it actually helps you out, wonderful, fantastic. If you need our help to help you apply it, we're happy to do that. But we really want to scale this adoption of responsible AI. AI that really empowers organizations, also keeps the fabric of society sustainable, ensures that humans are at the front of it, right? Not that we need to have the human at the center. At the end of the day, it's about people. We don't want to adopt AI to replace people. We don't want to adopt AI to tell us what to do. We want it to be a tool to empower our productivity, our creativity, and our advancement, as an organization, but as a society, right? So what really does keep me up at night, and then the challenge of ByteWise, my business, is to scale this literacy and to scale this movement of responsible AI. And we're doing the best we can by offering these resources.
Thank you, Mohamed, for a very insightful conversation. It's been very rich. Before we wrap up, what's one piece of advice that you'd give other founders trying to scale fast without losing cultural alignment in this AI world?
I hate to beat a dead horse, but you in order to scale, you don't want to scale fast. I think you want to scale strategically. I think there's an obsession with scaling fast. I think it's better to scale right. Scaling fast is like building a Jenga tower, and you're going to have very shaky foundation. So I would actually say don't scale fast. I'm going to counter the movement here and say scale strategically. And to do so, you need to bring everybody with you. Think of your organization like one big ship. You've got these people on this ship, and you want to make sure that that the ship survives the storm, that you get it to the destination. But you want to make sure that everybody along the way, everybody does their part, and that everybody makes it together. So you want to that's scaling strategically. That's taking your ship and steering it in the right direction. And I think the way to do that, and again, this is where I said I want to beat a dead horse, is with education, with corporate training, with making sure that everybody from the CEO down to the intern is on the same page about the company, right? The CEO, their job is to set the vision, to set the direction, but they need to do so in a way that enables everybody in the organization to do their part, right? The CEO is an enabler. They don't do it. The whole thing is they're the leader of the ship. They're the leader of the boat, and they need to make sure that every person in that ship is equipped and is skilled up and is ready to help fulfill the vision. And so that comes back to education and training.
I think it's summarized in 2 words: education and strategy, for sure. Well, listen, if listeners would like to learn more about ByteWise and yourself, where's the best place that they could reach you on?
So I would definitely check out our website, www.bytewise-llc.com. I would also check out our podcast. Our podcast is actually a great resource for people. So check out Beyond the Byte. It's on YouTube. It's also on Spotify and all other and Apple Podcasts. So you can listen to it, but it's also a YouTube channel. You can watch it. We interview and with change makers in the AI field. We talk with some of our clients, some of our, some of these people that are doing some amazing things with AI organizations. So we present the use cases for people. Also find me on LinkedIn, Mohamed Hafez on LinkedIn, and check out some of the, I also post some things on Substack, et cetera, et cetera. But I think those are some of your best resources. And then if you want to check out the Clear framework, we're happy to send you a link, Denise. It's free. If you check out the podcast, actually, we have it there. It's on on ByteWise's website as well. You can find the Clear framework there. But those are some of the ways that you can follow up.
Excellent. Well, Mo, thank you so much. And thanks for your time. It's absolutely been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on board today.
Thank you so much, Denise. It's been a wonderful conversation. It's been a pleasure.